Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Stories Worth Telling. We are live today with Colsie Searcy. Colsie, thank you so much for being here today. So
Thanks
glad to
for
have you.
having me, Patrick. I'm so
No,
excited.
absolutely. And you know what's crazy is that I don't know if we've had so many people hyped up for this particular video. Even now, we already had somebody comment, Erica Lebsex, is that so excited for this?
Oh, hopefully she's watching. Hi, Erica.
And guys, thank you so much for tuning in live. If you are watching this and catching this live, just type in hashtag live to let us know that you are watching this. And feel free to chime in with any questions or comments, and we'll do our best to get those addressed during the live. If not, we'll definitely make sure that we catch them in the comments and in the follow-up. So, Colsie, why don't you tell us just a little introduction of who you are and what you do?
Okay, well, my name's Colsie. I have been in Colorado most of my life. I was actually born and raised here in the Springs. And then got married in 2004, and my husband joined the Air Force. So we left for about 14 years, and we moved back here at the end of 2018. So it's been quite the journey that we've been on, but we're so happy that we're home and around our people again and able to put our roots back down in Colorado where they belong.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, and it's kind of funny how small this world is, right? Because through our interactions, come to find out that I know your husband
Right.
from a long time ago, which is incredible.
It really
So it's kind of funny, like how small Colorado Springs still
It's
is, no matter how big it gets.
such a big, small town. It's everybody knows everybody some way or another. There's like 2 degrees of separation here, but that's what makes it special, I think, because we are all, interconnected that way, and it's full of really amazing people. So it's a good connection to have.
Definitely. Thanks so much for tuning in live, Denise, Lane, and Sharon.
Hey guys.
It's all good to see you guys here, and thank you so much for the support of Colsie and the channel.
Hey.
Colsie, so let's just kind of get right into it. So a couple of things. I mean, you've had some amazing highlights from 2020 already, despite some of the things that have been going on with the COVID and all those things. So let's talk about those. The first one here being a top 10 Colorado realtor of social media, ranking number 5.
Yeah,
That's
so
incredible.
that was really exciting to find out. I actually went on vacation in February to escape the snow for a little while and got back into town and was getting all of these congratulatory messages. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And come to find out, yeah, I was listed as one of Colorado Springs' top 10 agents in social media through Property Spark. So that was really exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. And obviously I get a chance to see the content because I follow you on the Instagram. Guys, right there at the bottom, Colorful Colorado Living, go ahead and drop that follow, drop those hearts. But yeah, so it's incredible. Is there any secret sauce for you in your social media that, other people who are maybe wondering, if that's something, a goal or trying to up their game? What does that look like for you?
100%. And it's really not that much of a secret, but for some reason it seems to be. My secret is 100% I show up authentically in everything I do. I definitely, when I very first started in this industry, there's all these people who are, kind of buzzing around telling you how to sell, how to do this, what you should be posting, what you shouldn't be posting. And, through trial and error, I realized none of that worked for me. None of it. And what works 100% for me is being authentic. I show up when there are things to share and when I'm excited to share them. And I think that comes across through my posts and through what my followers are seeing, because it's not salesy. It's not necessarily self-promoting or anything. That I just want to show up, share my life, share it as it's happening. And especially when it's business related, I really just want people to know who I am, because I don't want to come off as anybody who is just trying to push information or push sales or anything like that. If people want to work with me, they usually want to work with me because they know who I am. So I make sure to put that across through my social media.
Absolutely. And one of our comments here about that authenticity, and One of my favorite things about you, Colsie, is that you're so authentic. Hashtag here for that. Denise, thank you.
Denise, that was so sweet. Yeah, and that's the goal. I don't want to, I want to make authentic relationships with everybody I come across. I'm in the people business just like you, Patrick, and it's very easy to fall into being a transactional agent, so to speak, and
that turn and burn process.
Yeah, and that's just not who I am. Like I base my daily life, whether it's business or personal life, on the connections that I make. And so those are so important to me.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Now, and we can skip this question if you want to.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the out. So I guess one of the things that I come across often, and maybe it's kind of I don't know, it's just a personality type, I think. But you have some of those, you've got kind of your agents who focus really on the relationships. Mm-hmm. You've got kind of the turn and burn. And then you also have kind of the, I don't want to say arrogant, but kind of more of the social media superstar type, and the focus and the attention is me type deal. Getting into the industry, being a part of the industry for a long period of time, do you see that there's been a shift, in terms of who people want to work with? Are they attracted to kind of that limelight agent, or do you think that more of the servicing and the person that's really connects with them is who they're looking for in today's market?
I believe that people are definitely seeking out people that they can relate to when it comes to business in any shape or form. And so I definitely see people who are showing up a little bit more authentically, who are showing who they truly are and how they do business, and no gimmicks, nothing surrounding that could, be perceived as false in any way, are the ones who are really getting the business. Personally, sure. My business is 100% referral. I don't do Zillow leads. I don't do anything like that. Wow. And I think that most of the people that, do hire me, they know me personally, or they know someone who knows me personally. And then they can, if they don't know me, firsthand, they can jump onto my social medias and they can get to know me really easily. Sure. So I think that is vital. I mean, granted, there still are people who are surviving off of old tactics and old ways of doing things. There's always a different type of personality that might respect that in their own way. Sure. But definitely, I'm definitely the type of person that I want to work with clients who are a good fit for me. Absolutely. And so doing things the way I do it attracts those right people.
I like that. And again, that kind of goes back to that authentic self, right? Knowing who you are, who you want to work with, and things like that. That's pretty incredible. What you see
is what you get. Yeah.
No, I like that, and it's such a great way, I think, to have that longevity piece, right? Because people know who you are and they know what to expect and all those different things. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for answering that. I know it's kind of a weird question sometimes, right? And I'm, again, not trying to bash other people who maybe maybe that's what works for them, and that's okay, right? Yeah. There's some people that's just they're meant to be maybe in that spotlight or in that limelight, and there's a lot of people who want to be a part of that. I just know, kind of call it as I see it. So
and I mean, I think about it as the way I choose business. How do I choose the people that I personally want to work with? Right. And that's through authenticity. I might interview with a certain amount of people, but once that reputation is connected, then that's who my go-to is. Like, you are definitely my go-to insurance broker, because Patrick, you are so personable. You are one of the kindest people I've ever met. And let me tell you guys a little story about Patrick. Like, I referred him to one of my clients a few months ago, and he goes above and beyond for anybody that he works with. These clients were moving down from Denver, and we're going to have to go stay in an Airbnb while their new build was finishing up. And Patrick was going to drive up to Denver, help them pack their pods, and get them down here. I mean, what insurance agent does that? Seriously, I was beyond impressed. And you will have my business forever just because of that one gesture. It warmed my heart so much.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate the plug and sharing that information. It's just, we want to be the differentiators, but ultimately, you want to work with people that you care about and people that, and so I know kind of, I think most or a lot of agents maybe forget those ebbs and flows of being a first time homeowner, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And, by the time that they get the call, they've been through maybe 5 or 6 no's, or they've heard a lot of people kind of going through some of the stuff. And to get to that point where it's like, I got the phone call, what can I do and run the numbers for you? But they forget maybe that human element piece of like, you think you've been through a lot. Try going through 5 or 6 homes, getting your hopes up just to find out that they didn't accept your offer, or there's something with the loan and that had to be redone. And, and so to get to that point, to get to that point again, where it's kind of like, oh God, this is the last piece. Let's hope that we can afford it, to re-tap into that. And so the last thing that, my goal is always at that point is I'm going to make this as easy as possible for you. Just know that I'm going to go ahead and make sure that the numbers cover this, this, and this. And then I'm going to work with your lender and your realtor, keep them up to date. So that way you don't have to worry about this. All we have is just to basically, I'll send it to you, make sure it fits your budget, and we're good to go. And that comes with over time of knowing what's important, but also kind of setting up the right coverages from the very get-go to make sure that, things like water backup coverage is in there. So thank you again. I greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Erica, thank you for the comments. And thanks for watching live, and Lane as well. So appreciate you guys. So let's talk about this other new thing. This is incredible too. So recently, you had some an article or tagged in maybe some stuff in regards to the New York Times.
I did, yes.
That's awesome.
Very exciting. Yes, I was reached out to by the New York Times. They were looking for a local agent to give them some insight on the Colorado Springs market, and because we are such a top market in the United States, they wanted to know what it was like for us to navigate this scene during COVID and what that looked like for us. And so that was a really exciting opportunity. I actually was even able to connect the author with one of my clients who was also quoted in the article. Wow. So it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. And then I guess, curious now, tell us about what that looks like. I mean, what is the reason, that Colorado has been able to thrive and still be the #1 housing market? I mean, what are your takes on that?
Well, there's a lot of different factors that play into that. One, we have such a huge military base here, that are coming and going. So that's kind of a circulating form of real estate. But Colorado itself has just become extremely desirable, especially to people who live in high tax states, such as California or, East Coast, like New York. People are trying to, live a little bit easier. And so they're coming inward, westward. And a lot of people decide to land here because Colorado Springs not only is one of the top markets in the United States, but it's also been ranked over and over and over again as one of the top places to live.
Yes.
And so people hear about this, they see us, and there's just something that is drawing everybody in.
It's the mountains, right?
It's the mountains, yeah. It's that high elevation air. I don't know. We're a different breed out here.
Yeah, for sure. Well, what's funny is I grew up, born and raised right here in Colorado Springs. Village 7 area is kind of where I grew up. I'm not too far from that now, but I just always imagined myself being anywhere else but Colorado. But the older I get with family, I'm like, this is a beautiful place to live. I mean, the crime rate in comparison to other places is really low. The atmosphere and the culture of having a good mix of, corporations and small mom and pop shops, and no matter how big we get, we still love our small and local businesses. So I mean,
still behave that way as if we're still that smaller town, and I was opposite from you. When we were getting ready to leave here, I did not want to leave. I love the city so much. I was like, I was really broken up about it. I'm like, you're joining the military, fine, 4 years, and we're back. We're coming back. It ended up being 14 years, but we still made it back. We traveled the world. I lived in Japan. I lived in Las Vegas. I lived in Utah. I lived in New Mexico, Mississippi. I was kind of everywhere.
Wow.
And everywhere we went, I always compared it to here, and nothing ever measured up. The people, the culture, nothing ever quite fit the way Colorado fits us. So there's something to say about that for sure.
For sure. You know what's funny is that I never knew that the word ope or oop was actually something that is unique to Colorado.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
And then that's something I definitely say.
Yeah. And once I learned that, I can't not unsee or unhear it now, because like if I drop my keys, most of the time we're just like, oh, excuse us. Like I guess every other place in the country says like, oh, excuse me. We're like, oop, and then we just pick it right back up, you know? So that's a unique thing to call like Colorado and kind of like the mountain areas. So fun fact for you guys, if you didn't know.
Where did you hear that fact? That is really funny.
I actually saw a meme of it, and somebody's like, you know, you're from Colorado when you, instead of dropping, like if you bump into somebody, you say ope instead of excuse me.
Interesting.
And I did not know that was unique to us.
Acknowledging like, oh, I messed up.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I did not know. But then when I said that, like, I catch myself doing it all the time.
I always say it. I say it all the time. That is so funny.
Yeah, yeah. So fun fact for you, for anybody here watching live. So yeah, hashtag ope.
That's so funny.
So before we kind of deep dive into some of these other questions here, what's a hashtag that people can reach out to you, so that way we know, who people that want to connect with you?
You can hashtag welcome home, or you can even hashtag colorful Colorado living, because that is kind of my business name. Perfect.
So there you guys go. Hashtag welcome home, hashtag colorful Colorado living. That lets Colsie know in the chats that to specifically reach out to you. And honestly, she's a great person to connect with. Fairly new in comparison to a lot of realtors here in Colorado Springs. 4,900, something like that. And how many homes have you sold within the last couple of years?
Oh my gosh, Patrick, I didn't know you were going to ask that question. I haven't added them up.
The best guess is fine.
I'll tell you this, though. This year has been crazy. I have done more volume in the first quarter of this year than I did the entire year last year.
Wow.
So that's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. So again, if you guys are maybe in the industry and you're fairly new, maybe you're trying to find your niche, maybe you're thinking about joining this large amount of individuals in this category, or entrepreneurship and all and stuff like that, just how to maybe some people are trying to figure out how to balance that authentic self versus this portrayed self of who they want to be. And sometimes there's a little bit of a gap there, and you're trying to figure out who that is and what that looks like. So I think that she would be an excellent resource for you guys to connect with. So definitely make sure that you're open to that. I'm in need of another happy hour.
Oh, heck yeah, Denise, anytime. I was just thinking about that the other day myself. Yes, we need to plan something soon.
Yeah, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about kind of the saturation in the market. Obviously, we talked about who you are and how your approach to business has been. The fact that you're doing it without any sort of, you're not paying Zillow for leads, especially now that maybe that's even harder, because now that they're starting to sell homes.
Yeah.
I actually saw one the other day that there was a home for sale and it had a Zillow sign on there, and I was just like, this is so ugly.
Right.
But so with all of this, and starting to kind of gain this momentum and really gain a sense of self and finding your niche in the business world, what are some of those things that you might be able to, what advice would you give to somebody else?
Some advice I would suggest is to get yourself out there. You can't be a secret agent. You can't, it doesn't work that way. You have to be out there. You have to be doing things that actually excite you, and meeting like-minded people who are going to connect with you authentically, and truly, they'll either end up working with you, or they will want to connect someone to you. I mean, if you think about your day-to-day life and someone says to you that, oh, they need windows done in their house, or they might need some lawn work done in their yard. Usually people are going to be like, oh, you have to call so-and-so. And why are they saying that? Because they have made that connection in the past and they trust those people. I never hire anybody without a personal referral. for that reason. I need to know that, who I'm bringing in is going to do what they did for a friend or they did for somebody I trust. So I think once you put yourself out there, you make those authentic connections, you're going to stay top of mind. So when they're out, at the grocery store, or they run into a friend and they're like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about, listing my house or whatever it may be, they're going to be like, oh, you've got to call my friend. And so you always want to make sure you're top of mind, you're staying connected, and don't just connect with people because you want business. Connect with people because you like people.
Yes.
Don't get into this type of business unless you actually like people, because it just doesn't work that way. So I would just say, sign up for meetups. I mean, do you like to hike? Find a local hiking group and integrate yourself in that group. Volunteer to help run the group. Start your own group. I personally got back here to the Springs and I started 2 book clubs. And those book clubs have opened up my world so significantly. I can't even tell you. And they're just book clubs, and you just find like-minded people who need the connection that you need. I think the number one source is connection. No matter how old we are, no matter where our life paths have taken us or what we do, everybody needs connection. And if you can create that or be that for other people, then you're going to stay top of mind for them.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, it's huge. I think, it's that old saying, right? It's not what you know, but who you know.
Who you know. Yeah.
Yeah. And, sending out a great referral can make you look like incredible. Sending out a bad one can ruin you.
It really can. Yes. And that's why I am super picky about who I work with. My lenders, my title reps, my home inspector, whoever it is, when I use them repeatedly, it's because I've heard amazing things back to me from my clients about that person. Right. Yeah. And so it's like, oh, thank goodness. And then you look like more of a professional because you're introducing them to people who are going to take good care of them.
Right.
Definitely.
And I think what I like and admire about the way that you've approached everything is that you're not afraid to go back and get that feedback. Right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, it's easier to just kind of throw out the name and just hope it goes well. And then if it doesn't, kind of deal with it then. But you go back and you solicit that feedback from your clients. So that way, and you're staying on top of mind of that. I think that's huge. And
I vet my people before I put them out or give them to my clients. I want to make sure, because if I can relate with them, most likely, because my clients are mostly referrals, then my clients will probably relate with them too.
Sure.
Right. So,
yes.
and it's like why I keep a couple people around, because I want to connect my client to the person who is going to connect with them the most.
Absolutely.
I have a couple different lenders and a couple different title people I work with, but, I want my client's process of buying a home and moving into a home and everything they do to be as enjoyable and stress-free as possible. So I'm going to make sure that I'm connecting them to the right people, because moving sucks. Like, let's be honest, it's
Absolutely.
a lot of stress. And so the best we can do is provide them with the best team possible.
Yeah. Moving is definitely the worst, along up there with, for me, it's car shopping.
I did that too.
Yes. Congratulations, by the way. It's awesome.
Thank you. I know, I'm so excited about my new car. But it wasn't stressful getting it.
Yeah. And it's kind of a weird thing because you're excited, but it's so exhausting.
And then you're like, buyer's remorse? Yes, no?
Yes.
No, right.
Yep. And then I think there's the stigmas, and I get it too a lot. The car salesman, the insurance guy, nobody's excited to talk to talk to us, So if I can get to the point where people don't mind hearing from me, then I'm okay with that. Consider that to be a victory.
I know. Well, and funny story is, while I was car shopping, the first place I went to, I didn't end up buying a car from the guy. But he asked me, what I did for a living. I said, I'm a realtor. He goes, I thought so. You have this thing about you. I thought you did something. And I was like, oh, whatever, used car salesman. But afterwards, he was texting me, are you coming back? Are you coming back for this car? And I told him, no, I found a newer car at a different place. I'm going to go with that one. But thank you so much for your time and your energy today. And he wrote me back. He's like, oh, no problem. Would you mind running numbers on my house for me? And I'm like,
nice.
Okay. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think that you just have that personality where people instantly feel like, you're a person that it's safe, right? That they can connect with you, and I think that you do a really great job of just, again, being that authentic piece. So that definitely says a lot. And kudos to you. I mean, on all the huge gains, within the last 8 months, 9 months, really. So
yeah, things have shifted significantly. I mean, and it's really taken off when, you start to realize exactly who you are and you show up that way. As soon as I did that, it was just night and day, really.
You feel like a lot of pressure was also removed from you from that as well?
Heck yeah. Oh yeah. It's like, because everyone tells you got to go door knock, you've got to cold call. That is not who I am. And, I'm like trying to do those things like, oh my gosh, I'm so uncomfortable. No one's going to want to buy from me. And that's true. If you're uncomfortable doing something, nobody's going to want to help you. It's our work with you. So once you start showing up as your authentic, true self, people are going to see that light and they're going to want a piece of it for sure.
Yeah. I tell my employee all the time, people want to be in the results, but they don't necessarily understand the blood, sweat, and tears that gets to those results.
Exactly.
And then, but there is also, I also tell them that there's a piece called transmutation, that once you find yourself and your niche and where you stand, and maybe the bars that can't be crossed and those lines that are that separate you from somebody else, you kind of walk differently, you talk differently, you think differently, you interact with people differently. And so it's a great place to be when you're in that moment and you kind of know that you have that confidence about yourself because you know who you are and you're okay with whatever happens.
Love that transmutation. I'm going to remember that word.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree.
So it's actually from a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
I have that book on my shelf. I just haven't read it yet.
It's a bit outdated, to be honest with you, because it was written back when like Merrill Lynch was alive.
Right.
But I will tell you that no matter what book, I feel like everything is an offshoot of that, and it's the only book that really kind of rotates with you, as you go through different seasons of who you are and as a person and in business. That book kind of rotates with you, and different parts make different sense at different times for you. So if anybody isn't reading that, I highly recommend it. And it's just one of the books that I constantly go back to, when I have the time, obviously, but it speaks volumes every time I pick up something different. So
yeah, I definitely need to read it. That book was actually given to me by Brian Buffini, who is a big guy in the real estate world. If there's different types of real estate coaches, and he has his own business and his own thing he does. But that's where I got that book from. I went to a seminar that he put on, and 3,000 people were given that book. So
yeah, I mean, there's a reason why it's had over 10 million copies, I think. So maybe more, maybe 100 million. I don't know.
He says he lives his life by it, and so I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Perfect. So what is, I mean, at this point in time, I mean, I know that you're busy, which is great. I know that most of your contracts are, or most of your listings are under contract at this point in time. So, what is going to be kind of your goal going into summer and in the fall? And, do you anticipate that the housing market will have any drops? I know that some people feel like that it's going to maybe not necessarily drop in, but maybe kind of go flatten out a little bit. But some people are saying, because of the COVID, that actually has shifted us into this phase where we're going to continue to be a top selling market even during our normal slow times.
I don't see this market slowing down at all right now. Right now we only have a little over 800 homes on the market, and in like the 300, 350 price range, there are minuscule amounts. Yes. Like our market is going to keep going. No matter what's happening in the world, people are going to still need to have a place to live. And when we compare our home prices, yes, they're high, but so is rent. Rent is extremely high right now. And if you're able to get into a house and pay probably less in mortgage than you are in rent, why would people choose to rent over buy? Right. And considering how popular Colorado Springs is, and with the huge military presence that we have here, I don't see us slowing down at all. We don't have enough inventory to keep up as it is. So,
right. And some of these comments, guys, are not showing up here on the feed here, so I'm just kind of refreshing somewhere on some of these. So just kind of read some of the comments here, Colsie.
Okay.
So Donna says, "You are so right about Colsie. She is so authentic, smart, and gracious. Couldn't find a better person to help find a home or property. Can't wait to tune in." So thank you, Donna, so much for the kind comments. Jacqueline, so awesome, and Laura Powell, amazing. So again, I think that a lot of these things, I mean, even before the video started, kind of just showcases that you're on the right path and that people truly are respecting who you are as a person, what you're doing, and that you're in the right spot. So, you know, it's a hard spot for a lot of people to get into. So congratulations just to get to there, definitely. Okay, so this is a question that's become staple on this channel here. If there were no limitations, right, time, money, maybe even family, whatever it is, you know, maybe some of those things, you know, what are some of these things that you want to cross off the bucket list?
So, no limitations, huh?
No limitations.
Oh my gosh, I want to travel the world. And I don't want to just travel. I want to spend significant amounts of time in these other places to absorb culture and absorb what other people's lives look like on the other side of the world. And, you know, I think that that's huge. I would go to every live concert that is possible. I love live music so much. I mean, between those two things, those are probably the top two things. And just to watch my children grow and make sure that they understand that there's no limits on them and they can do and be whatever they want to be in life. And that I would be there 100% to support them.
Love it. Yeah. So what you're saying is that a lot of it's not too far from what you do now, minus maybe traveling.
Maybe a little bit more money and a little bit more time. Yeah.
Okay. No,
I try to live authentically.
Yeah. No, that's pretty. Sure. That's pretty cool. And generally, we've gotten a lot of the same answers. You know, a lot of people, they're not too far away from really achieving or going after those things that they want to do. You know, and so a lot of them are, you know, at least in the right spot, maybe career wise, you know, maybe the finance piece isn't quite there or the timing isn't there, but a lot of people feel like that they're in the right spot, which is something that I consistently hear out of business owners versus maybe somebody who's working in that 9 to 5 in the corporate world. So, you know, again, this, you know, we spotlight this so that way people can get a chance to know who's in our backyard, who's taking care of the people in our backyard. And then I guess what advice would you have for any of these entrepreneurs, people who are thinking about maybe a side hustle, maybe getting into real estate, on the cusp of entrepreneurship, or maybe who have recently started and, you know, looking to get to that point of that transmutation that we talked about, or getting to the point where they're living authentically? You know, what suggestions and I guess ideas would you have, or maybe would you give to your past self?
Number one is never stop learning. Always jump on any opportunity you can to learn and grow, whether that is business related or it's personal growth, mindset growth, relationships, whatever it is you can dive into deeply to better understand who you are deep inside, and better to understand other humans on a real level, and understand that not everyone is going to be at your same level of thinking, but being able to see that and understand them is going to be huge in your business. Huge. I think that's definitely number one. Number two, stay true to yourself, show up authentically, because people know when you're not, and it'll work tenfold for people to feel like they're working with somebody who is being honest and true, and they'll feel like they can trust you.
Love that. Yeah, that's great advice. And guys, you're hearing it live here from Colsie Searcy. And so much success and over the last couple months, and so much growth personally that I've seen and witnessed, you know, in you as a person as well. And I think that's like super exciting when you see somebody who's, you know, like you already enjoy them as a person, but then to see them succeed. Right. And there's always two different responses. There's the people who are basically they're super excited for you. And then you have the people who maybe kind of are, again, want to be in those results, and they're kind of maybe feeling a little bit of jealousy. So I'm glad to be a part of your circle and for you to be a part of Sharon and I's as well. We're just thankful to have people like you, as part of our community. And then as a community, as right now, what are some of the things that Colorado Springs can do to help you grow and help West and Maine? What are some of those things that we can do for you guys?
Hire me as your realtor. We'll see more signs around town.
Perfect.
But I'm just loving seeing the growth in this city. And I just want to continue to be a part of it. Community is everything to me, and this city holds my heart very dear. And so whatever I can do to be a part of it, I'll be there for it.
Love it. Colsie, I can't thank you enough for your time and just your willingness to kind of come on here. I know for some people it's, they don't necessarily have the time, or maybe they feel like this is not the right platform, but I really am thankful for just your willingness to kind of come on and do this. And again, if there's anything that we can do, certainly, guys, if you are still tuning in live, or if you're catching this on the replay, type in #replay. And again, feel free to type in that hashtag welcome home or colorful living Colorado. And Colsie,
Colorado living.
Colorful Colorado living. I don't know why I keep doing that. I'm so sorry. It's literally right here on the screen too. That's
Colorado.
Colorful Colorado living.
Yes.
Right there, right in front of my face. Sorry. But yes, do that. I mean, guys, we do this deep dive feature so that way you can know and put familiar faces, and so that way you have that opportunity to connect. Am I saying that every connection is going to be perfect? Absolutely not. But it's those opportunities, and it's people so that way you have a face, because a lot of us, maybe you're looking for a home or you're thinking about buying. Maybe you just want some questions. Here's an excellent resource right here.
Absolutely. So I'm always willing to sit down over coffee or to chat with anybody. So everybody feel free to reach out to me anytime.
Absolutely. Guys, we will be live tomorrow with Mandy Kobilon. She's a health insurance broker. Really incredible. I got a chance to meet with her right before COVID and exchange some business with her and things like that. So that will be live tomorrow at 1 p.m. And she will be actually lucky number 13 for the video series of Something Worth Telling. I can't believe that we're in double digits already. But again, thank you to Colsie for your time today. And guys, if you have anybody that you think should be featured on here that has a story worth telling from a business owner's perspective, we would love to be able to get in contact with them. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.
Bye.